Ever since those security photos dropped, internet sleuths have been claiming one of them stands out from the rest. Specifically, it looks like the guy isn't carrying that heavy rucksack in this particular shot. While sources claim the photo predates Nancy's kidnapping, I spoke with the sheriff last night. He insists the timeline remains unconfirmed. We are waking up to serious discrepancies regarding when exactly those creepy photos of the masked intruder were taken outside Nancy's place. It centers on the residence of Guthrie during the early hours of the day she went missing. Insiders close to the case informed NBC News that this specific frame was grabbed on a different date than the others. This suggests our suspect might have scouted Nancy's property well before the night he actually took her. FBI Director Kash Patel originally released these pictures 2 weeks back, stating they were all stamped from the morning Nancy disappeared on February 1st. However, unlike the other shots, the man in this specific frame isn't sporting a backpack or wearing that distinct pistol holster. Furthermore, the lighting in the background looks significantly darker than in the other clips. While the FBI stayed quiet on the photo's timestamp, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos spoke up, telling NBC News during a late-night call that the photo chronology is still open. He emphasized that the exact sequence of those images remains a key part of their active inquiry. It is purely guesswork for anyone to claim that picture comes from a separate date. That is just a rumor. We get why people think that, but currently zero proof exists to confirm he was there on a prior day. It is February 24th, 2026, marking day 24 of this inquiry. Things just took a shocking turn. How does a person orchestrate this so precisely, leaving mountains of clues, yet disappear without a single identity tracing back to them? This is the Nancy Guthrie file, and the narrative is unraveling faster than anyone anticipated. Make sure to follow Crime Shadows. Let us break down the verified facts we have gathered so far. Insiders telling both CNN and ABC News report the masked figure on Nancy's camera didn't just visit once the morning she vanished. That individual allegedly arrived on a totally separate evening prior to the abduction without his gear bag. This detail is crucial because it proves this wasn't accidental. Someone approached her porch, scouted the area, and walked away before returning. On the return trip, the FBI notes he was armed, gloved up, and hauling a 25-liter Ozark trail pack while trying to smash the camera. When brute force failed, he obscured the lens using a leaf plucked from a potted plant sitting nearby on the deck, but he made a mistake. FBI Director Kash Patel confirmed that the device's internal storage remained intact. They retrieved every single frame of footage. Consequently, authorities have distributed 4 grainy monochrome photos showing this individual lurking right on her doorstep. Police described the intruder as a male, standing about 5'9" or 5'10", with a medium build and a visible dark mustache. The Pima County Sheriff's Office stated he carried a firearm, though ballistics experts speaking to NBC News pointed out a strange detail. The manner in which the weapon rested in the holster suggested an inexperienced handler rather than a trained pro. Why would an 84-year-old lady be the mark? And what could a guy like this possibly want with her? Note the missing backpack. Insiders now inform ABC News that the specific frame was logged on Guthrie's Nest device days before February 1st when she was taken. That was the exact moment she was forcibly removed from her home. If we are dealing with the same guy, it suggests he was staking out the property well before the crime occurred. Proof of advanced planning transforms this from a random break-in to a highly calculated criminal operation. One working theory is that he walked up, spotted the lens, and got spooked, only to come back later. When he returned, he had a flashlight in his mouth and actively tampered with the device, blocking the view with foliage. That time gap explains why detectives are demanding neighborhood video files dating all the way back to January 1st. That is a full month before the event. The sheriff remains convinced Nancy Guthrie was selected for a specific kidnapping. That remains the unanswered riddle, and the details only get more bizarre the further you dig. How would you react if you saw a masked figure lingering at your neighbor's entryway past midnight? Leave your thoughts below. Nancy Guthrie entered the world on January 27, 1942 in Fort Wayne, Kentucky. She has called Tucson home for over 50 years. Relatives describe her as mentally acute, totally self-sufficient, and living completely on her own. She practically raised Savannah, Annie, and Cameron by herself after losing her husband, Charles, back in 1988 during a mining excursion. That tragedy happened down in Mexico. She was a creature of habit who never missed her Sunday ritual of attending virtual church services with her close friends online. It was this strict adherence to her schedule that alerted her family that something was terribly wrong. When Nancy failed to log in for the service on February 1st, her worried friends immediately contacted her children. It turns out that her son-in-law, Tomaso Sion, had driven her home and dropped her off at exactly 9:48 the previous night. According to reports from TMZ, he idled in the driveway for 2 minutes to ensure she entered safely before driving off. Then, at 1:47 in the morning, the doorbell camera at the residence suddenly went dark. Investigators from the Pima County Sheriff's Department stated that by 2:28 that morning, her pacemaker app had lost connection with her phone. By the time her family rushed to the house at 11:56 that morning, she had vanished. Sheriff Chris Nanos later confirmed she was actually in bed when the abduction occurred. So, how does a masked intruder execute a plan like this without a single neighbor hearing a commotion or seeing a soul? The answer lies in the clues investigators have gathered, as well as the frustrating gaps where evidence simply does not exist. We need to know who had the audacity to return to the scene twice and what their ultimate goal was. Here is the current situation and why this case is getting so complex. ABC News reports that a massive task force of 400 personnel is currently working this investigation around the clock. The Pima County Sheriff's Department has received a staggering 55,000 tips since the investigation began on February 1st. That number is 25,000 higher than what they handled during the same period last year, yet authorities have not named a suspect. Here is the reason. The DNA evidence collected from inside the home does not match any profile currently listed in the FBI's national database. That system contains 19 million offender profiles, as noted by NBC News, making the lack of a match particularly discouraging. To make matters worse, Sheriff Chris Nanos revealed that the biological material is a mixed sample, meaning it contains DNA from at least 2 different people. This complexity makes the testing process significantly more difficult and slows down the results. A glove discovered 2 miles from the house, which looks identical to the one worn by the suspect in the video, also returned 0 hits in the system. Investigators are now escalating the process by shipping the DNA sample to a specialized private laboratory out of state, according to ABC News. The next strategic step involves utilizing advanced investigative genetic genealogy. This is the exact same forensic science that took down the Golden State Killer and identified Brian Kohberger in the University of Idaho murders. Genetic genealogy expert CeCe Moore explained to the Today Show that once the data comes back, the findings will be definitive. Moore emphasized that if she were the perpetrator, she would be sweating bullets right now because this technology guarantees identification. It is only a matter of time before they get a name. But there is a crucial detail that most people are overlooking. Detectives are keeping all options on the table, including the possibility that multiple perpetrators orchestrated this crime. The Pima County Sheriff's Department suggests that the mixed DNA profile might not be a simple case of contamination. It could actually indicate that 2 distinct intruders were present inside the home that night. Meanwhile, Walmart has surrendered transaction records for every single purchase of that specific 25-liter Ozark Trail backpack throughout Arizona. Reports from ABC News confirm that detectives are methodically tracking down and vetting every single buyer. They are also visiting gun stores across Tucson, showing the footage to see if anyone recognizes the weapon, marking day 24 of this mysterious search. Nobody knows for sure if that surveillance image captured the suspect days prior to the abduction or just hours before it happened. The sheriff issued a late statement emphasizing that jumping to conclusions right now would be nothing more than wild guessing. He insisted they will chase every lead until the well runs dry. The big question remains, where is Nancy Guthrie? My gut tells me she is still somewhere in our community. And while I lack hard proof, I just truly believe she is local. Furthermore, the sheriff mentioned to me last week that it is entirely plausible the suspect in the video had a partner who was already waiting. Someone could have been lurking silently inside Nancy Guthrie's home. Despite these theories, we are heading into week 4 with absolutely zero suspects officially named as the investigation drags on. Nora just released a fresh image showing the alleged kidnapper standing at the front door, captured by the Ring camera right before the event. We also uncovered some intriguing details, thanks to investigations by Alana at Knock It Off the Books regarding family mining claims. The Guthrie lineage apparently goes back years with ownership of these mines, possibly related to drilling sites or something similar. Get this, the border wall actually comes to a dead halt right at the edge of their private property line. You can literally walk right through the gap because it sits directly on the boundary line in the backyard of Tucson, Arizona. This makes me wonder, and this is exactly where my mind is going, why on earth are they not combing through those mining claims? If I were the one calling the shots, I would demand a warrant to get on that property and tear it apart. You might find abandoned shacks out there, maybe some old oil rigs or deep mine shafts. Really anything could be hidden away. There are endless spots in that terrain where someone with the right resources and local knowledge could easily stash her away unseen. We are hearing reports that Kayla, Luke, and Zach might allegedly have some inside knowledge regarding smuggling operations nearby. They might know about the family finances, but if you have ever watched true crime shows, you know it is usually an inside job. My gut tells me this was definitely not a random act. We are all hoping Nancy is okay, but she is 84 years old. So you have to wonder if they grabbed her necessary medication. If she did not make it, the kidnappers have no leverage to demand that massive Bitcoin ransom they seem to want. Today is Monday, February 23rd, marking 3 weeks and 2 days since the investigation into Nancy Guthrie's vanishing began. She is the mother of the famous news anchor Savannah Guthrie, and I am currently reporting live from outside her residence. I have noticed that the crowd of reporters here has thinned out significantly compared to previous weeks. Usually by late afternoon, you see crews prepping for the national broadcast, but right now I only spot 2 local stations from Tucson. There are no crews from the Phoenix metro area, and I have not seen any major network trucks arriving yet. However, there is a surge of internet sleuths and live streamers here who are trying to play detective and hunt for clues themselves. Along those same lines, a volunteer group from Sonora, Mexico is planning to launch their own independent search effort very soon. Reports from NBC News indicate that Sheriff Nanos believes investigators are narrowing down the exact brand of clothing worn by the suspect. Authorities have already brought in 2 individuals for questioning regarding the case. One was a delivery driver named Carlos, and the other was a 37-year-old named Luke Dale Yiley, though his attorney denies any link. Police released both men without filing charges, and neither one is currently viewed as a primary person of interest. It is baffling how someone could leave so much evidence yet remain free. So tell us your theories in the comments, as Nancy has been gone for 24 days. Authorities have made 0 arrests so far, and we still have not received any confirmation that she is alive. The cash reward for tips bringing her home safely has jumped to over $200,000 thanks to a new gift of $12,500 that came in last week, according to the Pima County Sheriff's Department. President Trump stated that the perpetrators will face the harshest federal penalties available under the law. When a reporter asked if capital punishment was on the table, he confirmed that it absolutely could be. The New York Post reports that Savannah Guthrie has taken a complete leave of absence, missing her scheduled slot for the 2026 Winter Olympics. She released a heartbreaking plea to the kidnappers instead, telling them via NBC News that there is still time to do good. Law enforcement has officially cleared every member of the Guthrie family from suspicion in this case. Detectives are now getting ready to reduce the active personnel on the ground and shift toward a more focused long-term task force. Sheriff Nanos denied the rumors of a scale back, telling ABC News the case is growing, but the scary truth is that this was clearly premeditated. The abductors scouted the property beforehand, they timed her isolation perfectly, and they knew exactly how to cut the security feed. Even though they were smart enough to wear gloves, they still left genetic evidence, raising a major unanswered question. We have to ask if Nancy was targeted specifically due to her famous daughter, or if the motive was completely different. There is no confirmation of her survival yet, and we are unsure if we are looking for a lone wolf or a duo. We also remain in the dark about the specific demands listed in those ransom notes that police linked to the actual kidnappers. This tragedy proves that despite surveillance tech and 400 agents working nonstop, a masked man with a plan can still vanish into thin air. It will likely be a long time before we know if anyone could have prevented this from happening. Someone snatched an 84-year-old woman right out of her own bed in the dead of night. The culprit had visited her home previously, and now only a receipt, some DNA, and the clock are working against him. Hello, everyone. I am hopping on here to share that it has been 24 days since someone stole our mother from her room in the dark, clears throat, sighs. Every single passing second and every sleepless night has been pure torture, filled with fear and heartache because we just miss her so much. It has not escaped our notice that millions of you have been sending up prayers. Folks from every walk of life and belief system have been wishing for her safety, and we truly feel that energy. Sighs, we ask you to keep that faith going without stopping. Our belief hasn't wavered one bit. We are holding out for a miracle. We are convinced she can still walk back through that door, even against the odds. Like my sister puts it, we are fanning the faint sparks of hope to keep them burning. We also have to face the hard reality that she might be lost forever. There is a chance she is already gone. She might have already ascended to the Lord she adored and is currently dancing in heaven alongside her parents, her dear brother Pierce, and our dad. If this turns out to be our fate, then we are ready to make peace with it. However, we simply have to know her location. We need to bring her back home. Because of this, our family is putting up a reward of up to $1 million. We want leads that result in her recovery, so check the description below for full details on the bounty. You can dial the 1-800-TIP line. Staying anonymous is totally fine if you prefer. There is a person out there holding the key to bringing her back. One of you knows the truth. We are pleading with you to step up and speak right now. We also realize that we aren't the only ones dealing with this kind of grief. We understand that millions of other families have endured this exact same type of agonizing uncertainty. That is why, today, we are pledging a donation of $500,000 to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to support their efforts aiding families are navigating through grief while actively searching for their missing loved one. Our hope is that the spotlight shining on our mom and our family will spread to every family like ours that desperately needs prayers and assistance. So please, if you are listening to this, if you have been hesitating or feeling unsure, take this as your signal to finally step forward and share your knowledge and help us get our cherished mom back so we can either rejoice in a miraculous return or honor the stunning, brave, courageous, and noble life she led. Please choose to be a beacon in this darkness. Thank you. Catch you next time on Crime Shadows, where I will be diving into a story about a witness who reported a crime only to somehow become the main suspect. Make sure to subscribe to Crime Shadows and ring that notification bell for the latest content. Expect new videos every single week. Fresh leads are emerging in the hunt for Savannah's mother as the case hits its 24th day. Two separate police insiders confirmed to NBC News that one specific doorbell snapshot of the suspect was actually captured days before Nancy vanished. So, where does that leave the investigation? NBC's Liz Kreutz is live from Tucson with all the breaking details. Good morning, Liz. Hey there, Hoda. A very good morning to you, too. A glove found 2 miles away, consistent with those worn in the doorbell footage, also returned no hits. Investigators turned to investigative genetic genealogy, the same science that identified the Golden State Killer. 400 investigators, 55,000 tips, Walmart backpack records, gun shop canvases, and still, 24 days in, no arrest, no proof of life. When someone has been to your home before they strike, it is not random. Targeted abductions are planned across days, sometimes weeks. Nancy had a doorbell camera. She had family checking on her. She had a pacemaker app that transmitted data. None of it was enough because the person who took her had studied all of it first. This case is a warning about pre-attack surveillance. If a stranger approaches your door and leaves without explanation, that moment deserves attention, not dismissal. Elderly people living alone are among the most targeted. A consistent routine, visible from outside, is a vulnerability. Varying arrival times and check-in patterns matters. Make sure elderly relatives have multiple people monitoring their routine, not just one contact. A missed call, a missed service, a missed check-in. Those gaps are when something is already wrong. The Guthrie family offered $1 million of their own money for information leading to her recovery. They also donated $500,000 to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Savannah Guthrie stepped away from the Today Show entirely. In a public message, she said to whoever has her mother, "It is never too late to do the right thing." Nancy Guthrie is still missing. If you know anything about the events of January 31st or February 1st, 2026 inches Tucson, call 1-800-CAL-LFBI. You can remain anonymous. Someone out there knows something. The reward stands at over $1 million. The family is still waiting. The investigation is still burning. Share this story. Subscribe to Crime Shadows for continued updates on this case and every case that demands our attention. By day 24, the Nancy Guthrie investigation had revealed something even more chilling than the night she disappeared. The suspect had been to her home before. A surveillance image without a backpack captured on an earlier date suggested this was a reconnaissance visit. He came the first time to look. He came the second time to act. Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, mentally sharp, and fiercely independent, was taken from her bed in the dark. She had raised 3 children largely on her own after losing her husband in 1988. She had lived in Tucson for over 50 years. She was known for never missing her Sunday church service. It was that missed Sunday routine that first told her family something was wrong. By the time they arrived at her home, she was already gone. DNA recovered inside the home matched no one in the FBI national database of 19 million profiles. Worse, it was a mixed sample, possibly from 2 people,